that. Hey there, Suzanne. Sorry for the delay in getting you plugged in here. There we go.
No problem.
All right, good. Welcome. All right, I think I'm all set. Just gonna do that. Thank you, Sherry, for being willing to reorganize. Ely, welcome. Hello. You're perfect. We can close this too. I'll leave it a little drafty. Or do you prefer it open? Either way. Okay. Nice. Here. Lisa is not here. Linda is not here. Sherry is here. Then we can fit Laura Brewer in here. She's just arriving. Thank you. I hate to ask you to move after you've settled. It's always such a drag. All right. Hey, Mara, I've got a spot for you right on the wall. When you walk in, just go straight, and there's a place for your map. You're welcome. All right. Oh, perfect. Thank you. That will scooch one more in, and we'll be all set. Great. All righty. Hi, Lisa. Sorry for the delay.
That's okay.
Welcome.
Hi.
Hi. How are you today?
Good.
Good. Awesome. Good to see you. I'll go ahead and spotlight my screen. And I'll hit record's already going, so then I'll go ahead and mute you.
Okay.
But of course, Lisa and Susanna, as always, I really don't like muting anybody, so unmute whenever you wish. Always good. Have an aversion to the mute button. But there it is. Okay, voila. Hey, so welcome everyone. Surprise, surprise, we'll start lying down. And why do I always start lying down? The first reason I start lying down is that for some of us, the first thing in the morning, it's not that comfortable to necessarily sit in a specific position with your legs in a certain position. And for 99% of humans, lying down first feels good. So we go with that because it's an easy starting point. I do like to encourage you that if you're dealing with anything that's feeling a little not great today, that you find for yourself what feels like the best most restful position, especially for the part of your body that's not working, feeling very good. So, for example, if your low back is feeling bad, you might actually just take a little hiatus in your Stonehenge, for example. Like this is actually a recovery position for back strain for many of us. You can use a chair, but this is a little softer. So, if you are dealing with back strain, sometimes this is a refuge. Yeah. So, allow yourself to take advantage of any props that you have and take refuge in a pose that actually relaxes you and doesn't ask you to engage or stress out the area that's already feeling stressed out. So I'd like to start with the breath this morning, and in particular, the ujjayi breath, which isn't one we always use, or sometimes people use it habitually without really even realizing it after they've learned it, and others find that it's kind of anathema and it's kind of meh, and it's not the biggest draw in the world, no pun intended. Um, so I like to start with the exhalation as the place where people explore ujjayi breath. So let's find our way into a comfortable position. There you go, Laura. You're all set right there between Pam and Michael. We'll start by breathing in comfortably to fill your lungs. And then the ujjayi, ocean sounding breath or deer breath is to where you go, you make a kind of a sound like, but the mouth is typically closed. So inhaling, it's like fogging a mirror, but try with your lips closed and see if you end up with a sense of constriction right at the base of the throat. And that can create this sort of turbulence that creates this feeling of heat or warmth, which in this weather can actually be quite lovely. So as you inhale, I find an inhale without ujjayi is much easier. And then the exhalation with any amount of ujjayi. Now, the ujjayi or victorious breath is one that can be used to help you elongate the breath. And that's part of why it's really valuable. It helps you gain a measure of control of the exhalation that's different than what you get with a epiglottal contracture in your throat. So let's try a couple of these where you breathe in deeply and fully, and then try to elongate your exhalation using or not. If you find you don't like it, you let that go using exhalation with ujjayi. So it's big inhale at your own pace, and then exhale ujjayi. Sometimes your ujjayi will be so loud that other people will hear it. But the goal is not to push the air out through your teeth, for example, but to have your lips closed. So you're inhaling, and when you exhale, it's Darth Vader. Yeah. Inhaling fully, and then see if you can elongate the exhalation. Inhaling as soon as your body needs the breath, and exhaling with or without the ujjayi. One more time at your own pace. And let that go. And now relax that breath. Now, for some, it's actually intriguing and even useful to try it on the inhalation. And it does sometimes make you feel like you want to cough. Yeah, so if it's feeling coughish, then you can let that go. Just let it be a slow, continuous breath. But the idea here is to take a breath in and out so you feel like you're not gasping. Ah, and now try inhaling with the same constriction. Exhale without it. Ha. Then try inhaling. It's this closed mouth, creating that feeling of Darth Vader-y breath, almost a wheezy kind of feeling. Then exhaling through ujjayi or open mouth. Two more of these. Any amount of inhale with ujjayi or not if you find it problematic. I find if I slow down and ease up, it's a lot easier for me to do the inhale. The exhalation I can do with a fair amount of exigency, but the inhale, I find I have to be very slow and calm and kind of gentle about it. Then it feels manageable. Otherwise, I feel like I don't really get enough breath. So one more. I know I've said one more twice, but we'll do one more and then let that go. All right. Now, what I'd like to do is a so-called box breath. And this one is where you inhale fully and then exhale fully. So we're working towards box. Right now it's a line. So now inhale and try to match your inhale to your exhale. So deep inhale. And then as you exhale, try to make the exhale the same length. Maybe you count, maybe it's more intuitive. Inhale again, the same length inhale as compared to exhale, which for most of us usually means elongating the inhalation a little bit, or maybe it's elongating the exhale. Let's do two more where you're matching inhale to exhale. And after that last one, just relax your breath. Now, the next one is to inhale for any length of time and then see if it's comfortable or not to hold your breath lightly for the same amount of time, then exhale. So this is sort of like almost box breath. You inhale, certain length of time, hold, maybe match it or attempt to, but don't force it. And then try to exhale. Again, attempt to match it. So the length of each side of this three-sided box so far is roughly the same. Let's try it two more times. So it's a soft inhale for the length that feels manageable. Might be a little shorter to start off with. A hold for something approximating that same length, though not forcing it. And an exhalation, again, approximating that same length. And start the whole process again one more time. And let that go when you're done. All right, now finally, bless you, we'll do the full box where you inhale for the length of time that feels manageable, hold for that roughly same amount of time, exhale, again, roughly matching, and hold on the exhale for the same roughly amount of time. Then you inhale again. You go across, holding the breath. You exhale, you drop down. Then you hold on the exhalation, complete your square. Let's do three more of these at your own pace. You can always default to your natural, easy, soft breath without any of these shenanigans. Don't need to do it. But these practices can be helpful in bringing your attention to felt sensation of the breathing in a way that's very significantly different than what you do normally. So you finish the breaths that you're doing. Slowly bring your knees gently up into your chest. Hold on your legs or let them be free and make a slow circle on the ceiling, perhaps ujjayi breathing here or just deep breathing. Take a moment to massage out your low back. Really knuckle into that lumbar area. Let it be soft and easy and notice your breathing here. What is it like now to add breath to your movement? Or really, in this case, add movement to your breath. What kind of breath comes easily, naturally? Maybe it's ujjayi, maybe it's not. And the whole box thing, well, that's a whole nother thing. We'll get back to it. All right, go the other way with your knee circle. Can always do box breathing anytime during class. It's a great way of biding your time when you're thinking, oh, Lord, will she ever stop? Are we ever going to be done with this? All right, now keep your right knee gently hugged into your chest and double check to see how your neck and shoulders are doing. If you need to add a blanket, put your right foot flat, gently add a blanket under your head, or if you're feeling perfectly fine without, allow yourself just to rest there now. Now, your left leg kicks long down the mat. Right knee is hugged into your chest, and we'll start by circling the ankles really broadly and widely. And add in some toe spreading action while you're at it. So, really try to separate your toes to make lots of space between your toes as you circle your ankles as broadly as you can. And sometimes we even need to pull the extended leg heel up and in a little bit and pivot on your heel as you circle your left ankle here, because having the left leg straight may not feel good for your back. Yeah. So bending your knees is a great tool for alleviating back strain when we're on our back and not working with straight legs if it helps you. Circle the other way. Round and round you go. Notice if you're shrugging your shoulders and clenching your teeth. See if you can soften your shoulders and release your teeth from each other. All right. Then interlace your hands either behind your thigh or in front of your shin if they aren't already there. Push your right leg gently away from your nose until your elbows have completely lost all their bend. So your arms go straight. Now, here's where I push down on the back of my head, lift my shoulders up and pull them away from my ears down my back to lengthen my neck. Now, pushing lightly with the right leg, take a moment to back off completely on the pressure of your right leg, then engage the pressure again and see as you back off and then push whether you can find the 50% mark. So, can you push with about half of your effort into your interlaced hands? And have the feeling that you're gently moving your right hip, really your whole right leg and hip together away from your head. For most of us, the low back will not be flat. And if you need to bend your left knee and flatten your left foot while you're doing this, totally fine to do that. Yeah. That will allow for most of us the low back to stay really flat. For some, we don't need that. And for others, it's really helpful. Breathe and hold. Your right leg feels a little active, hopefully. Take a deep breath in. You can even ujjayi exhale if you like. It's a little bit like a disapproving, quiet, disapproving kind of sigh from my mother, like, and then relax your right leg, plant your right foot flat, interlace your hands around the front of your left thigh or the back of your left thigh, shin, or not your thigh, your shin or your thigh. Then now it's that left leg's turn to move away. Again, evaluate your back, see if your right foot needs to be flat or whether, in fact, a straight right leg feels okay. And then again, let's circle those ankles, spreading your toes. And again, I push down on the back of my skull, lift my shoulder blades up and tuck them deeper under my back and flatten my low back a little bit more by engaging abdominal muscles. Notice if your elbows are still a little bent, maybe you could push your left leg a little more intensively into them, but then back off on the level of pressure. So your arms are straight, your leg is moving away, but not 100%, about half action. Circling the other way, and then let your feet be still and just push your left leg away. Deep breath in here and let that go. Ah. Then slowly drag both knees into your chest. And now, with holding onto your legs or no, widen out your knees gently round to the sides and then back together. And then not knees go round. Now, again, if your back is bothering you, your knee circles will, for some of us, feel better if they're smaller. Maybe the movement is slower. Maybe the breathing is deeper. And for others, knees going really wide and maybe more quickly, and there's a real rocking and rolling over your low back and pelvis. That can be just fine if your back is feeling really comfortable this morning. Then switch the direction of your knee circles and see if you can go the opposite way. And whenever you need to take a break, you just need to be still. Take your favorite resting pose. It could just be feet flat, knees bent, knees knocked together, or maybe just hug the knees in. Yeah, rocking side to side. Take a break. All right, now we'll do our favorite one. I know you love this one, block nearby. So take a moment to grab your block. I realize sometimes it's not really to hand. And then when you're lying down on your back, again, check to see. And again, for people with a little bit of stuff going on with their back or shoulders, it can be super supportive to add a little support under your head and neck. So if you feel like somehow it's like wimpy to do that, it's not. So take care of your neck, your shoulders, your back. And now wrap your right hand behind your right thigh and place your left palm on top of your left thigh and flex your feet and slowly move your knees closer and further from your body while keeping your back completely flat the whole time. For me, that means the knees don't go very far away, but do see if you can spread your toes and flex your feet as you do this. And then find the position for your knees, which is most comfortable for your back. Easy to keep your back absolutely plastered flat on the mat. And then push with your left hand as you pull with your right and check with your eyeballs to see that your knees are still exactly parallel. It's super easy for one of those knees to kind of drift forward and one to pull in closer, and we don't want that. Yvonne, go lightly here, yeah? Okay, so far so good? Okay, breathing, and now switch, opposite. Now we push right and pull left. I hope that's the switcheroo position. Yep. Notice your shoulders, notice your jaw, notice how much tension you're creating. Can you soften your brain and switch? The secret of this is that you don't have to hold for a long time. You can switch, 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 but it's a kind of good to build some strength by holding. So switch whenever you need to. And I won't be the switch caller. You get to be the switch caller. Push and pull. Engage your abdominal muscles. Even lift your pelvic floor. By that I mean retract the urogenital sphincter, the anal sphincter, do your kegel. Push and pull one more time. Then relax and take a deep belly breath in, fill up, let your legs be soft, and let something go. Ah. Now take your block and place it crosswise between your knees. What I mean by crosswise is that it's on its widest axis from left to right. and you've got it right up between your inner knee balls, right where the knee bones can dig into the block, and then carefully lower your feet. If your back is talking to you, hold your thighs to lower your feet. My arms are short, so it's a little tricky, but there it is. And then my feet are down, my block is in between the knees. In this position, I squeeze my block as tightly as I can, and I feel all those inner thigh, inner groin tendons kind of click into place. Anybody feel that? Sometimes it really goes thunk. And don't worry if that's the case because it's not a problem. It's actually helpful. So now we go into our super slow, super chewy, gooey hip lifts. So we flatten the back, we squeeze the buttock muscles, we slowly peel your tailbone up. But because my head is on a blanket, I tend not to lift my shoulders and ribs very much, if at all. If when you're lifting, you kind of wish for a little more freedom, you could slide the blanket out from under your head just for this bridge pose. For some of us, that's actually kind of nice. For others, no, the blanket's fine. Why is she saying that? It doesn't make any sense to me, right? So give yourself, you're the boss. So squeezing, lifting, and lowering. Now, really tune into your gluteal muscles, your buttock muscles here. I often will even put my hands on my glutes as I lift the hips up and really try to dig in and feel if I'm getting real strong muscle contraction and then really relax. So as I lower the hips, my buttock muscles soften in my palms like ripe peaches falling off the tree. Oh dear. Squeeze your buttocks and lift. Anyway, moving right along, tailbone tucking up. And then it's a very much of a letting go, a slackening, a softening as you lower, so that when you come down onto the floor, you go skin, connective tissue, muscle, bone. Then you engage everything and lift it back up. So particularly focus on that melting through layers experience of regrounding. See if you can slow it down so that it takes a little while for you to completely rest into the floor and have it support you 100%. Then engage and feel the contraction that changes the dynamic 100% in the opposite direction. So full support to full lift and then back again. Two more times or the number that serves you. Remember that thing called breathing? Yeah. So choose whether the breath goes in or out when you're going up and choose whether it goes in or out when you're going down. For many people, it helps to take a big breath in while you're down and exhale while you go up. But for some, that doesn't happen naturally. So do the thing that happens naturally for you and enhance the breath and see if you can accompany the movement with the breath and you can accompany the breath with the movement in equal measure. Both are equally important. And when you've done two more or none, right? 2, 0, or 1 or none, come on down, take a break. So when you've done your number, two-ish. Then I once more grab for the thigh bones with my hands to help me bring the knees in if necessary. For some, you won't need to. And now here we go. You're going to be so happy, I know. Reset your block symmetrically between your inner knees so that if you clack your inner edges of your feet and heels together, the block is positioned to where it doesn't the edges of the block don't dig into your inner upper calf. Sometimes the block needs to be pulled a little bit closer to your head and there be a little less block between your knees so that you can actually contact your 2 feet with each other as you pincer grip your feet. Flex your feet and spread your toes. Yes, squeeze your inner thighs and flatten your back. Holding on to your legs can be super helpful here to release your hip flexors and to give your back a little break. So holding anywhere on the thigh that gives you a felt sense that your hands and arms are doing some of the work to keep your legs in position. All right. And then slowly, gradually, come on back down to the floor with your feet. Take away your block. So heel your feet and legs to the outer edge of your sticky mat and rock up onto your heels. So your heels are on the mat, but if you put your toes down, they're on the wood or the floor beside your mat. Let your arms be in a comfortable, easy, soft position so your neck and shoulders are calm and soft and you feel well supported. With your heels digging into the mat, press your low back flat. Now, instead of going external rotation on these, it's going to be just a slow drop of your right knee only towards your left ankle. Squeeze your inner thigh and then see if it feels okay to roll to your left buttock and rotate your hips a little bit to the left. Slow back to the center. So we're taking more of the internal rotation of the windshield wiper. Now it's your left knee that folds in towards your inner right ankle and down. Squeeze your left buttock and any amount of rotation to the right, where now your left hip comes off and you might roll onto your right buttock. It's really sort of more piriformis. Then you come back and flatten your back. Then lead with the right knee dropping down. Keep the squeeze of the inner thigh and particularly your right buttock and see what amount of rotation happens. For me, when I'm doing these now, the leg that I'm rotating towards, so when I drop my left knee down, my right knee does not drop all the way out and open. Instead, it's really more of a focus on the leg that's dropping to the inside of my ankle, not the one that's falling to the floor beside me. Does that make any sense? So it's sort of a half windshield wiper where we're just doing the internal windshield wipe. If you wish to go further, allow both knees to go as far as you like. Yeah, for some, it's actually kind of better to go all the way open with both knees. Right knee goes all the way to the floor, and then left knee goes all the way to the floor. Yeah, so take a couple more windshield wipers, choosing just the internal rotation if that works for you. With the flexion. Yeah. Ah. Huh. Yeah, to all the action in the legs. Yeah, I think we'll need to take flexion out for you today, Shelley. Do some gentle movement without flexion. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. And take a break when you need to. All right, now slowly come on back to the center and bring your knees into your chest, and we'll roll to the side and come on up. So for this next one, it'll be a abdominal strengthener. I know you're very happy about that. So blanket under the head can be replaced by block under the head. Okay. Now, for my own purposes, I often will switch that out and put my hand behind my head, so the block may be provisional. The second block goes to the inner thigh of your left leg. Now, if your lower leg, like for example, Shelley, if your foot's bugging you here, don't worry about flexing your left foot. Let your left leg be more, you're just bring your knee up. Don't worry about flexing the foot. So you can work the leg without activating the flexion in your left foot. If for anybody for whom the flexion of your left foot is workable, spread your left toes, flex your left foot, meaning your toes come up to your knee. Right hand is pushing the block into your inner left knee and spread your toes. Relax your jaw. Now, for some, it's best to stay right here, right foot flat, low back is flat, and I'm even digging into the floor a little bit with my left elbow, excuse me. So I'm kind of pushing down into the mat with my left arm, but it's close into my body. So my left shoulder, indeed my right as well, are well protected. Hug your ribs with your right elbow. Now, if you wish, you can straighten out your right leg. For some, that's good. For others, no thank you. No thanks on the straight leg. Pressing your block away and then press your block to the left and then to the right. Yeah, so in both directions, the hand pushes the block pushes the hand. Now, option to put your left hand behind the back of your head and let your head rest in the palm of your left hand. Breathing here. Now, if you wish, you can hover your right leg and with opposite movement, as your left leg goes left, scissor your right leg right. Now, Pam, this might be the one that we were doing. I'm pretty sure that was probably it. Yeah. So you can always keep your right foot flat, knee bent. There's no need either to straighten your right leg or to hover it or even to scissor it. Yeah. So the scissoring thing, we figured it out. The scissoring thing for some is just more than your back muscles need in order to become strengthening. Yeah, but strengthened, right? So flatten your back, adjust your legs, breathe, go slower than you think you need to. Take breaks before you think you need to. Drop your head and gaze backwards more than you think you need to, and lift just your shoulder blades, but not pulling your head up to the sky. 6,000 more if you need to, or maybe you're done. If it's really easy, you can keep going. And then relax, take a break. Stretch both legs long, even grab your block and reach it up to the ceiling and then towards the wall behind you. If the wall is pretty close, abandon your block and simply reach your fingertips up and back. They don't need to go next to your ears, your arms, they can stay high. Squeeze your glutes, kick through your heels, squeeze your inner legs together. And if your feet are and ankles are sore, simply squeeze your legs together without flexing your feet. You don't need to be working that flexion if your ankles are sore, Shelly, okay? All right, and then take a break, get very relaxed for a moment, like you're just like a baby otter lying on its mother's stomach. Ah-dee-da. Or yeah, otter, the ones that rest on their back, sea otters. Yeah. So you're the baby sea otter lying on its mother's tummy, floating around. So relaxing. Ah, all right. Then we bend our knees and we go back to, oh Lord. Now, option for the block under the head or blanket bolster. You could be nicer to yourself. Then right foot knee comes up in. Again, choose the action of the foot that's appropriate for you today. Dealing with a little discomfort in your feet and ankles, the foot is relaxed. If you can activate the foot without stress or discomfort, great. Flex the toes, pull the toes up to your knee, and spread your toes wide. Dig in with your right elbow into the mat to activate a little bit of the musculature around your upper right shoulder blade, but keep your elbow in pretty close to your ribs. Add your left elbow, pin it to your left ribs to keep your left wing tucked in so that we're not stressing out the shoulder joint. Now, again, option to kick your left leg long on the floor, breathing in and out. You can even do some ujjayi breathing, or you can go if you find that helpful. And then option to put your right hand behind your head and hold on to the milk jug of your head. Your head is about the weight of a gallon of fluid like milk or water or what have you. Push or Gatorade. Terrifying idea. Pushing your block into your inner knee, pushing your knee into your inner block, and add the scissoring only if lifting up your left leg to hover and scissoring your left leg medially and then laterally towards the midline and back towards the outside feels okay, right? There's no premium. Lifting your shoulder blades a little more if you want more intensity, flattening your low back even more. Remember that thing called breathing. Take a break when you need to, or even before. Nicely done. Yeah, beautiful. And once you've done a number on this side that feels A, commensurate with the energy and action that you can manage, and B, you feel like it's even with the first side enough, slowly come on down and come on out. Really good. Okay. Now, this next one can be some people can benefit from having a folded blanket underneath your hips or a bolster, and others find it particularly the case that that does not help, right? So depending on the length of your torso, often if you have a longer torso, height under your pelvis does not help. But depends on the person. Some people with long torsos do find that by elevating your hips either a little bit or more, there's a bolster version, or even you could get really kind of ascetic and put a block under there. The idea is option for your hips up. If you don't put your hips up, then head up can be nice for your back. What do I mean by hips up? It's really my sacrum and tailbone, not my low back. So my lumbar spine is relatively free from support. There's space under my low back, but my hips are well supported. And when I bring my knees up into my chest, I feel ease in my back. So where do you need to go in terms of support that gives you ease in your back? Then, option for your block, should have told you that earlier, bringing the block between the thighs, or you can place the block between your inner ankles with your knees bent and find your way up this way up into Viparita Karani with your knees bent or straight. Now, for those of us for whom working the feet is not feeling so good today, you don't need to do anything with the feet. You can simply squeeze the block between the thighs or leave the block out and just let your legs stretch up. But don't worry about flexing the feet or spreading the toes. Again, if your feet are feeling okay and your ankles are okay, flex your feet, spread your toes, squeeze your block. Maybe we straighten out the knees, maybe not. Then super slowly bring the feet and legs to the right, any amount, and then to the left. So this is a slow and small movement. So even if you could go way over, we don't start off that way. We start off maybe going about 10, 12 inches, or maybe a little more than that. Now, ground into your shoulders, ground into your elbows, and choose whether you want bent elbows or straight arms. And now choose the angle at which you place your arms. For some, it's going to feel better in the shoulders if the elbows and arms come down lower than your shoulder height. And for others, it'll feel fine if the arms are more like at T, capital T, shoulder height. Now, as you go from side to side, slow it down a little more and pause just a moment when you're tilted. And Yvonne's just going to be really careful with this one. It can be nice if you do it a little bit, but we don't want to overdo it. You doing okay so far, Yvonne? Okay. So breathing into it. Now, for those of you who want more intensity, slowly lower your legs any amount, but not into a feeling of, oh my God, what did I just do to my left side of my body? And then the other way. So as your legs go to one side, approach the muscle action required to stabilize you and not crash over, and feel the muscle action required, but let's not go pell-mell into craziness. So pushing down into the floor, squeezing your block. Notice if you're starting to feel tension burgeoning in your head, right? If you feel like this sort of, you know, thunderhead of tension bubbling up into your skull, that's kind of not a good sign. So, so we turn our chin the opposite way and we relax our neck and we soften the eyes and we breathe. Oh, yeah, remember breathing? I typically breathe in as I'm at the middle and out as I go to the side, back in through the middle and out through the side. One or two more, only if it's working for you. You can always come right back to the center and bend your knees and take a break. And then let's do just that. All right. Now, one more thing in this mode, we take away the block and bring the legs back up towards the ceiling. Let your legs come right together. They don't need to do a lot of fancy maneuvering. But if you can, press through the balls of your feet and make Barbie feet, great. If your feet need to be relaxed, no problem. Bring your legs as close as they can be, and then with or without Barbie feet, squeeze your inner thighs, squeeze your buttocks, and engage your pelvic floor, which means you sort of contract and retract your both anal and your genital sphincters. Now, slowly lower your right leg any amount, taking care to not drop it too low right out of the box, and then back up to vertical. Bring your legs together, squeeze them together. Then your left leg down and low and slowly back together. Now, for some, it feels better to let your legs move in closer to your nose. So your feet and legs might be hovering above your nose and your head as they come together. And for others, the legs might be more vertical. But do see if you can place your feet so they're right above your hips, even if that means your knees are bent, no problem. The legs are at least vertical or tilted towards your head. So the angle at your hip joint on the top of your thigh is 90 degrees or less. Scissoring your legs. Again, bending the knees if the knees and legs come together is completely fine. Now see what is it like if your feet are okay to go into flexion, to fully flex your feet and squeeze the buttock muscle of the lowering leg. So when you kick through the leg that's going down, reach through your heel this time, squeeze the buttock muscle, the glute, and kick the leg long. Nicely done. One or two more. Yes, Carmen, exactly. Toes and knees face the ceiling as your leg lowers. That's it, Michael. Making sure that the blanket feels like it's actually supportive. Sometimes that means I need to push the blanket further to the foot of my mat to give me a little more support for the tip of my tailbone. Nicely done. All right. And then bend those knees and take a break. Gently bring both knees into your chest. And now place your feet flat, lift your hips up, and shift your blanket so that if you put your hands at the base of your tailbone, the blanket is still under your hands. So it's a little lower. Really, your tailbone is in the middle of your blanket. Then bring the knees up into your chest and do a lateral twist. So, what I mean by lateral twist is we'll gently have the knees together, arms gently extend out to the sides, and I rock the legs from side to side. If your feet and legs are not sore, you can flex your feet and keep your inner ankles pressed together, inner knees pressed together, rocking side to side. All right. Then slowly lower your feet flat, gently lift your hips to remove your blanket, and gently roll over onto the side of the body. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to open up this blanket and create that long magic carpet sort of situation. I'll simply add a second one because sometimes for some of us that thigh bone, the one that's right on your outer hip, has a very needly point on it, right on the outer hip. And you do have a little sac, a little bursa, a little blobby. You can feel the most easy to find bursa in your body is this one on your elbow. If you straighten your elbow and feel that extra skin there on the outer edge of your elbow, that actually is inside your skin is a little bursal sac. It's like a little partly deflated balloon or water balloon that's not all the way full, and it pads the bone. You have one on your outer hip too, but for some reason that doesn't seem to always do the job. So we'll pad the outer hip, bolster under your ear, lying on your left side with your left ear. Oh, do you need a bolster, Terry? Perfect. Okay. So we're on our left side, left ear on your bolster. Option for your block, of course. And it's a side lying. It's like you were in Tadasana mountain pose like this, but you fell over on your side. So the idea is that you're lying on your side body. If you wish to pop a block between your upper thighs, you can. You could also put that block between your ankles if you prefer, being a little bit funky to manage that, but it's doable. Block between the thighs or no block if you're not in the mood. Left arm goes straight out in front of you like in a half zombie. Your left shoulder is on the mat. Your left ear is on the bolster. Right hand on your right hip, and then as you squeeze your block, lengthen down the line of your body and look and see if your hips are absolutely parallel to the wall in front of you. Your right hip stacked over your left. Your feet, again, if you're working with relaxing your feet today, don't need to do anything. Just squeeze your thighs and straighten your knees any amount. Let your feet relax. If you can, without stress, flex your feet, spread your toes. You might find that you can dig into the mat with the outer edge of your left foot. Squeeze your buttock muscles and then check to see if your head needs to shift a little bit backwards. For most of us, we tend to put the head down in front of the collarbone. Instead, we often need to pull it back so that your ear, armpit, hip, and ankle are all in one straight line. Now, from here, it can be beneficial to just stay here like this with your right arm resting on top of your right thigh, your body fully straight and long, your belly button pulling in and up, squeezing. So everything is engaging except anything above your neck and shoulders. You're pushing down with your left shoulder, broadening across your chest, squeezing your block, squeezing your buttocks, lifting your pelvic floor, and pulling your belly button in. Now, for some, that's enough. Then you rest, take a break, maybe even bend your knees and just hang out for a minute. Okay, so a resting position means you pull the knees up in front of you and let your body soften. Big, nice, big breath in resting mode and let it go. Ah. All right, deep breath in. An option now to stay resting or to kick your feet down to the foot of your mat once more. If you tent your right fingertips onto the mat in front of your chest, you may find that you can tilt your hips forward and back, meaning you're rotating your right hip to the wall or to the floor in front of you, and then behind you. And when you do that, you let your hip go way in front of your left hip and then way behind. What we want is right in the middle. So using the movement to see where middle is, stack your right hip over your left once more. Then, if you wish to extend your right arm up to the sky, turning your palm to face forward so your pinky pushes into your right thigh, thumb to the ceiling, that might allow you to lift your right arm a little bit, or maybe even 90 degrees. From here, squeezing your block, staying right here, no need to go anywhere. If you wish, lift your left foot up off the floor any amount and slowly lower it down. And then lift it and lower it. Now, really relax your head and neck as you do this. So your head is melting into the bolster, but every other part of your body is working a lot. Squeezing your gluteal muscles, your buttock muscles, squeezing your block. Again, if your feet need to relax, don't spread your toes. You don't need to flex your feet. But if you can, turn your toes and knees to point straight forward. So if you look down at your own legs, you may notice that your heels are a little bit closer and your toes have flared out. Can you turn your toes straight ahead? Nicely done. Yes. Very good. One or two more if it works for you. Otherwise, you're done. And when you're done, curl your knees up in front of your chest and rest into your mat. Nice. Yeah, very good. Now, if the block is not working for you, take it away. But if it's okay, keep it. And what we'll do here is a slow circle of the right shoulder. Because sometimes the shoulder joint is a little vulnerable, I'll start without my arm. So the arm is resting on the side of my body, and I'm making a circle with my right shoulder on the ceiling. What this right shoulder circle does is rotate my chest a little towards the floor, then open up to the ceiling, and I roll onto the back of my head and come into a little bit of a twist. If it's comfortable for you to lift your right elbow up and make a circle on the ceiling with your pointy elbow point, then again, your arm gently wags the tail of your body, or your arm wags the you know what I mean. The tail is wagging the dog here. The elbow is taking you into a little bit of a twist to your right. If extending your right arm feels fine, you can add that. And I also often will tuck my knees in and up a little closer, hold on to my right thigh with my left hand, and stretch into the twist with a little bit more leverage, whereby I pull down on my right thigh with my left arm, and then maybe even hang out in the twist of my upper body to the right. At times, I find the bolster to be fine, and at other times, I find it a little high. So I might even pop the bolster out from under my head and hang out in my twist. So check to see what works for you in terms of that height under your head. Maybe the chin is a little bit tucked into your chest and right armpit. That's okay. Breathing. You might even gently turn your chin from right to left and choose a still position for your twist, or circle the other way and stay with the movement variation. What works for you? Notice your breathing. Remember how we matched breath to movement and movement to breath. What works for you? Big inhale, big exhale. Two more breaths, whatever movement's occurring with those breaths. We'll meet back in the lying down, easy, relaxed position on your curled up side, and then slowly roll over onto your right side with your right ear grounded. And we'll do the whole rigmarole on the other side. Now, of course, we're so much more asymmetric than we typically think of being. So if on this side you need to make movements differently or leave them out, this is a great opportunity for you to observe the need for that. Yeah. So as you set yourself up in that tall Tadasana mountain pose, lying on your right side, maybe if your toes can flex and you can squeeze your block and you can straighten your knees and bring your head in line with your shoulders, hips, and ankles, the whole body looks like you look like a Coldstream Guard standing outside of Buckingham Palace, right? Now, squeezing your block, maybe rock your hips so that you teeter totter on your right bony hip point. Your left hip drops forward and down and then back. You don't need to move a lot here, but observe the way that your body naturally will tilt back and front, And see if you can balance your left hip directly above your right, maybe even dig into the floor with your right outer foot. Then left arm on the left leg, pausing here. You might keep your arm there. If you wish, turn your left palm to face directly the same direction your toes, knees, and nose are facing, and maybe float your left arm up. But can you do it from your shoulder blade, squeezing your left shoulder blade down and in towards your spine? Use that to lever your left arm up, maybe to 90 degrees. And now you can stay right there, squeezing your navel in and up, balancing your left hip over right, or maybe lift your right foot. Your left leg will come along for the right, I assure you, off of the floor. So it's the bottom foot that lifts. Breathing. Try to keep your knees as straight as they can be. And if you feel any strain in your back, keep your legs grounded. No need to lift them at all. Just squeezing the block would be preferable here. That's it. You can always take a rest, bring your knees forward, rest in a fetal position if that feels better to you. That's it, Carmen, exactly. Try to pull your toes up to your knee. Nice. Nicely done. Relax your head. And then when you're ready, bring your knees up into your front of your body, curling up, and see about letting your left shoulder now make a circle. So it's a soft, easy circle of the left shoulder. Option to bring your left elbow up to the ceiling and let the whole upper arm make that circle or happen. Or maybe even straighten the arm. For some, it feels quite good to rainbow the arm up and around. You end up getting a stretch all the way through the bicep and the pectorals and into the armpit. And for others, nah, not so much. Let it be slow. I know we have neighborly airspace issues, so be gentle. Try not to wall up your neighbor. Take your time and again, try to link breath to movement. How does that breath help? How can you attach movement to it or vice versa? Perhaps you switch the direction of the circle you chose and go the other way. Or perhaps you're staying soft, quiet, easy on your back, on your side, and you're not messing with anything. Take your time, hold if you wish, and breathe. Often I'll turn my chin from side to side. Maybe again, opt for bolster or no bolster right now. Notice your breathing. Notice the softness in your body. See if you can melt. One more time in your circling breathing mode. And then relax. Super gently, slowly come over onto your back body and rock your knees from side to side. Massage out your back. Then slowly roll to the side and come on up. Want to take a supported child's pose that for some people is really helpful here. And it takes a lot of construction or a fair amount. So please feel free, if you have a child's pose that's pretty easy and simple and you know it and you love it, just go into it. You don't need to do all this whole crazy stuff I'm going to show you. But it can be nice to modify your child's pose a little bit. So the feet can go over the rolled up blanket. Okay. I'm going to do two things. I'm going to put a blanket underneath me. Okay, finding your way into child's pose, bolster underneath the front of the body. So come on and take a check here and see. What we'll be doing is putting the block underneath your bolster. Okay. Now, knees on either side of your bolster, the tops of your feet over the blanket. Knees wide. Yeah, again, if you're looking at me doing this thinking, are you kidding? No, no, no. I'm going into my favorite child's pose. Leave me alone. Totally fine. Otherwise, knees on either side of your bolster. Now, I've put a blanket under the tops of my feet simply because if I put my feet flat, shoelace side of my feet on the mat, it doesn't feel good. Okay, so I've got a rolled up blanket under the tops of my feet, a second blanket under my knees, and bolster. Now, the secret trick to these bolsters here at the Arlington Center, our lovely lozenge shaped, really ladyfinger shaped bolsters, is that if I turn it up on its edge, so now it's got knife edge up and it's still resting on its block to give it a little height. Now I push down on the bolster, lift my belly button up, and then and then I get to lie down. Oh. Now, If it digs into your belly in a way that's not commensurate with breakfast, then you can move the bolster further forward or turn it flat again. Yeah, there's no one way to do this. There are about 6 gazillion versions of this, but take your time and see if any of these work for you. Now, the focus is strangely enough on your back. So as you breathe into your low back here, the idea is to see if the support for your chest, your torso, and your head can help you expand and relax into your low back. For me, the front edge of this bolster was digging into my abdomen, and I didn't like it. So I scooted backwards a little bit, and now it's so much more comfortable. So you might need to scoot your body back or push your bolster a little further forward to give yourself space. And if you do turn your head to one side, or you can even stack your hands on top of each other and rest your forehead on under your on your stacked hands. I do like to turn my head to one side, and if I do that, then I'll rest a little while on one side. Then I'll take a nice deep breath in and then switch sides. Sometimes I don't turn my head as far to one side as I do to the other. It might be really more on your eyeball and your cheek than on your temple and your side of your head. So take a breath or two in your favorite version of child's pose, which may not look anything like the thing I just showed you. I'm not taking that personally. And breathe into your low back. Um, exactly. Nicely done. Yeah. I love all the variations. One more deep breath. Remember the box breath? Let's do one box breath. Big breath in, holding, big breath out, holding. Let's do one more of those. And then let your breath go. Super slowly. Walk your hands back up and in, and we'll find our way to hands and knees position. Now, I like to use the wall for bird dog because I love the felt sense of knowing where I am in space and having something to push into. It's so-called a closed kinetic chain. And honestly, I don't know why they call it that, but that's what they say in physical therapy. When your foot's not on something and you're pushing out into free space, it's called open kinetic chain. When it's on something, it's closed kinetic chain. So one day I'll figure out what that is and I'll tell you what I've learned. Kinetic. So it has to do with muscle action, right? Energy, exactly. Something to do with energy. So here's the idea. I come to my wall, and if you happen to be at a wall already, voila, you're in luck. I do need a blanket under my knees. You may not need one under your knees. I also sometimes put blocks under my forearms. So here's me with 2 blocks, but you may not be doing that today. You might say, you know what, I'm good. I can just put my palms flat. I can walk my hands further forward than my shoulder joints so that my elbows can bend back and down a little bit, increasing the wrist angle. So if my angle at my wrist is bigger than 90 and my weight is back into my legs, I have much less pressure on my wrists. I can grip with my 10 fingerprints to activate all these wonderful lower arm muscles to further make space in the carpal tunnel area, and then bring the knees together and see about scooping the belly in and up. So we start in this hands and knee tabletop position by decreasing the natural hammocking of your low back. Now, when we scoop the belly in and up, we tend also to curve the chest and scoop the chest in and up. But instead, I'm going to try to pull my shoulder blades away from my ears and pinch them together to broaden my chest, even as I keep my belly scooped up. The crown of the head now lengthening straight forward, gazing straight down your nose. Then let's try the left foot any amount up to the, oh, am I a good distance from the wall? I need to move my right knee a little further forward, a little further back, so that I can put my left foot on the wall without stressing out my back or anything, and straighten my knee. Now, you can experiment with coming down onto your forearms, either onto low blocks or maybe the mat. For my back, I often find that when my hips are a little higher than my shoulders in this kind of a position, it feels better on my back because it's easier for me to keep some of that natural hammocking of my low back out. Yeah, flattening my low back is a little easier here. You may find the opposite to be true. You might prefer to be up on your palms, elbows slightly bent, pushing your left foot into the wall. Now, it's tempting to shift your hips to the right. So if you look at your right thigh, we're hoping for that right thigh to be roughly perpendicular to the mat, though truthfully, my knee is usually a little bit further away from the wall than a perpendicular thigh would dictate. So my right knee is not exactly under my right hip. It's a little further towards my belly button or forward towards my head. Now, option to bring your right fingertips forward like little spider, walking onto the mat in front of you. Option, last of all, to lift your right palm up with your palm facing the midline. I'm still gazing down my nose, the neck is long, and I'm still trying to squeeze my navel in and up and flatten my lumbar spine. Then I'll put my right hand back down, slowly bring my left knee back down, and very gently swish my hips from side to side, privileging my weight into my lower body. So I'm really letting my hips go back and down instead of side to side. It's more of a back into the side. It's almost like a half child's pose. That's it. So any amount of side to side maneuver. If your knees don't feel good when you deeply bend them, you might just tilt your hips straight to the side. For me, I'm actually pulling my hips back into the outer right ankle. So it's a little bit more of a diagonal backwards movement. Yeah. So take your time and we'll set up for side B. Here we go. Navel in and up, squeeze the shoulder blades together, extend through the crown of your head, and see if your left knee is almost perpendicular, basically. And then the right foot goes to the wall. Often I need to look at my own foot to see that the toes are pointing straight down. My toes are pointing straight down. Squeeze the right buttock, lengthen through the crown of your head. Choose whether you want to be up on your hands or down on your forearms. I'll stay on my forearms for this variation and bring my left fingertips forward. Maybe I keep my left hand there, maybe I pull it back in and I ignore the arm part. I don't need to do it. Or I can reach my left hand forward and up, but if I'm on my forearm, I tend not to bring my left arm very high. I don't want to have to stress out my left shoulder, and I want my arm to be in line with the line of my trunk, which is low and tilting downward. If you're up on your hands and knees, your left arm might be higher, more at shoulder height. Palm can face the midline. Yes, Carmen, beautiful. That's it, Corky. Straightening the knee of the foot that's on the wall by pushing the wall. That's it, Carol. That's it, Terry. Navel in and up. That's it. Lift your chest, Laura, for me. Yes, Laura W. Beautiful. That's it, Shelley. Navel to spine, chin soft. Yes, Yvonne. Take your time and come on down. Beautiful, Laura Brewer. That's it, Michael. Yep. Nice, Pam. Very good, Yili. And down you come. That's it, Ellie. Take a break and gently shift child's pose, side to side. What feels good to you right now? You can do cat cow. You can do swirly, you know, fractal, crazy paisley patterns. That's it. All right. Excellent. All right. Psychedelic, right? So we did both sides. Thank God. We're done with that. Okay, perfect. Now, downward facing dog. For some of us, downward facing dog feels really good on the mat. I'm going to encourage you, if you are not averse to using a block, to try a block between the thighs. If you need to be on your forearms, of course, you can be down on your forearms. If you're okay with hands on the floor, great. And if you need to be at the wall, not a problem. We start at the wall with a block between the upper thighs. Now, hands are wide apart, whether you're on the mat or on the wall. We face the wall, pull the elbows down and palms wide. If we're on the floor, we have the hands at about mat width, elbows slightly bent. And then as you lift up your heels, pull your hips back, bend those knees. We're prioritizing the length in the spine and pulling your belly button in and up. That might be a nice long stretch, or you might briefly lift up and then slowly come on back to your knees and sink back into a slow child's pose. So take your time. If you're okay with tabletop to downward dog, then back down into tabletop and child's pose. That can be a nice, slow, not quite a stressful version of downward facing dog. Now, if you're at the wall, we can walk back, even waddling back with the block. Sink the buttocks, push the wall, but let the elbows stay soft and collarbone broad. So it's more about squeezing your block and sinking back with your hips Then slowly you can even come into a little elbow bend, shoulder blades down your back, palms on the wall, and then sinking back and down. So it becomes a little bit like a wall push-up, only it's a half wall push-up. So you come to the wall and let your elbows bend into your side ribs. Then you push back and sink down, but the elbows do not necessarily straighten all the way, especially if you're dealing with shoulder discomfort. I like to work at the wall with my elbows always a little bent. I don't actually ever straighten them. If you can bring your elbows down to the floor when you're working at the wall so that you spin your elbows towards each other, that's it, Shelley. That can be better for the shoulder joint. And make sure that the weight on your hands on the wall is minimal. Nicely done. That's it. Child's pose, up into downward dog, squeezing your block to keep your hips even balanced. And if you're not using a block, no problem. Squeeze your navel to your spine. Beautiful, Yeely. Slow motion as if through molasses. Beautiful, Sherry. I love that. Yes, nice shoulder action. One or two more of these. Nice, Michael. That's it. Spinning your elbows down and together as you come into your tabletop and rest in your child's pose. Beautiful, Laura B. That's it. Elbows soft. We think we have to straighten the elbows in downward dog, but we don't. Yes, that's it, Carol. And you can even bend your elbows down towards the red blanket down there underneath you. That action, yes. And slowly take a break and come on back up. Nicely done. Have a seat. Take a break. Nice. Yeah. So I just want to explain what I mean about this elbow slash shoulder situation. W for years, I always felt like I had to do downward, that downward dog was straight elbows for sure. But oftentimes the encouragement is to say, okay, broaden your shoulders and now straighten your elbows. But it's hard to do both. These days, what I like to do, especially I have a little bit of a in my left shoulder, I have to be a little careful. I keep my elbows bent the whole time I'm in downward facing dog. Even a teeny little bend that nobody else would know about, but sometimes a frank bend, like a gross bend. And it's the same at the wall. So the idea is that in my downward dog, my elbows stay bent and that allows my shoulders much more freedom of movement. When I straighten out my elbows, I feel like my neck all of a sudden gets stuck into my shoulders. But if I have my elbows bent, it's like having your knees bent, and now you get to move your hips. If you have your elbows bent, now you get to move your shoulders and vice versa. So when you're in downward dog, either at the wall or on the floor, see if you can try. We'll try one more time briefly, not a long downward dog, and see what is it like to do your downward dog where you just keep your elbows a little bit bent and try to soften your head, your neck, your shoulders, and notice what a teeny little elbow bend and straighten feels like in your shoulder joint. Okay, at the wall, it's the same thing. I'm here, keep my elbows bent. The weight on my hands is so light, I could tippy fingertips here, and the shoulder blades are soft and movable. My elbows are bent here, right? I can come in, I can come out, etc. So let's try one moment or two just to notice for yourself what happens when you keep the elbows bent. And if you're on the wall, the weight on your hands on the wall very light so that it's less than you normally place. So it becomes more exigent that you use your legs and unlock your knees, squeeze your block, bend your knees instead of locking out your knees, locking out your shoulders, locking out your elbows. Yes, Marion, good. You see the difference there? Hmm. Yeah, a little weight on the arms is fine, but we want it to be in play. Nice. Yes. All right. Ah, and when your body says you're done, slowly come on out and come on down. Any questions, observations, complaints? Okay. All right, let's come on up. Now, what I'd like to do is have a strap, and I don't even need a loop, believe it or not. So if you have a loop, you can just make it so small that it's negligible and put the loop around your neck. Okay. So for Warrior Two, Virabhadrasana 2, I'll stand in the middle of my mat and face the long edge of the mat. So for everyone on the Mass South side of the computer, perhaps you could face in this way, except of course, Sarah, you get to face whichever way you're in the mood. If you're in the mood for Dunkin' Donuts or, and then same thing here. Yeah, everyone facing in. Yeah. And so we'll face the long edge of the mat and let's make sure we don't have any props that are going to trip us up. So no props needed on your mat. And we'll just use the strap around the neck. We'll start with the hands on the hips. And bring the legs as comfortably close as you can. So the legs are as close together as is manageable, which might mean your feet are together and it might mean that they are not. Now, take a moment to look at your feet and adjust them so that neither are you Tweedledum and Tweedledeeing it like this, nor are you Betty Boop. Okay. But the center line of your feet, which is really the line that runs from the center of your shin over the top of your ankle straight down to the front of your toes, that center line is parallel to the short edges of your mat on either side. Sometimes people's feet are very parallel on each side, like the inner and outer edges of your feet are absolutely parallel. For me, my feet are like duck feet. They're like little triangles that come out. So if I parallel my feet to the edges of the mat, like outer edges, I end up pigeon-toed. If I parallel the inner edges, I end up slightly externally rotated. Well, that one's actually okay for me. So you could kind of look at the inner edge of your foot and the outer edge and see. Now, the next question is, when you unlock your knees, can you squeeze the inner thighs together comfortably? And do your knees need to be squished together or not? So for some of us, the feet are a bit apart. So no, the knees do not need to be together. But we do want to see that your kneecaps, when you bend your knees, go straight over that center line of your toes. Yeah. Okay. Now, ungrip your knees, meaning unlock your knees so they're soft and a little bit bent. And then take hold of your strap and see what is it like to bring your strap along the back of your neck and hug the back of your neck gently. You can even pull a little bit right and left to kind of pull the skin from right to left over the muscle and bone there. Can give your neck a little massage. For some, that actually feels weird and yucky, so you don't need to keep doing that. But if it feels good, you can keep it. And then what we do is we hook it under the earlobes, drop the shoulders, and then slide the hands forward any amount. I tend to go about maybe 18 inches forward. And then keeping the knees bent, squeeze the buttocks. I pull the strap any amount, not to stress out my shoulder, and let my head get really heavy. Then I squeeze the buttocks and slightly bend the knees a little bit more and see if it works to lift the chest, to rotate the rib cage upward, lifting the sternum, squeezing the buttocks, tuck the tailbone forward, and let the head fall. You can bend the knees a little more, drop the shoulders a little more, drop the head a little more. Sometimes even arms might even go straight up to the ceiling. So we're not in the business of stressing out our shoulders, so we might need the elbows to stay much more bent and have there be much less pull on the strap. And when your body says you're ready, pull on the strap to bring your head back, let your head be a dead weight, and then come back up and all the way down. Okay, you doing okay? Okay, neck around, strap around the neck again. Now this time we pull the strap low and we just do this low. So it's right down around the shoulders. And this gives me a little massage for the part of your neck where you say, can you rub my shoulders? You get right down in there and you pull it, hug it into your skin as if you're trying to burrow down into your muscles. And that can actually loosen up those muscles of the neck. It's small little yogic strategies. All right, so now we step the feet wide. Toe heel, toe heel. Now, especially if you're dealing with back strain, standing poses, we want to just really take them slowly and easily. And if we make a movement of the legs or feet that doesn't work, we go back to the thing that did work. Yeah. So even simply standing with your legs wide apart, this might be a point where you go, not loving that. Going to bring my feet in a little bit. No problem. Yeah. Yeah. And it also could be a point where you take your block or even just lean against the wall and go like that and flatten out your back on the wall. So any point at which you need to take a break, taking a break is better. And also sometimes when we're dealing with a real uncomfortable back, we need to say, I'm done for the day. Yeah. So you know exactly. So Yvonne, at some point you might just need to do that and don't be shy, right? Michael doesn't mind, Shelley doesn't mind. You're good. Okay. All right. So stepping the feet wide. Now, we'll turn the right toes in, turn the left toes out for warrior two. Now, initially, we want the spine to go straight up. So I'll even take my strap and reach it up, elongating through the armpit chest, and then slide my elbows out. Pull the strap from right to left. Maybe the strap comes to the top of my head or behind the back of my head. Try each one and see. And if neither one works for you, arms down, hands on hips, or low, right? You don't need to do either one of these. I prefer the strap at the back of my head, and I'm pulling the strap against my head so that I'm creating a backwards attraction for my head to push backwards into. I'm going to turn the heat a little lower. Now, slowly start to bend and straighten your left knee directly over your left toes in the position of warrior two. Now, option here to turn your head slowly, rolling your head against this curved strap here. So I'm actually massaging out those little muscle pads that encapsulate my skull. My arms are not actually right to left, they're in front of my shoulders. And that gives me a place for the smooth, firm strap against the skull to give me that massage. Now I hold in warrior two and continue turning my chin from side to side. Sometimes I even go right to the forehead as I turn my head. Can anybody feel that, a little massage for your head? Kind of weird. And then back out to the side, let the arms come down and slowly float your arms up. Draw your shoulder blades down your back, turn your palms face up. Drop your right hand to your right thigh, sink into your left heel. Draw your navel in and up, and slowly see if it works for you to spiral your left palm to the ceiling and flamenco your left arm any amount to the sky. And with your right arm down, gently rotate your chest to the left, sink into your left heel, and either look into your left armpit or look up at your left hand. For some, it's nice to go up to go back. For others, no, just up. Opening your chest. You can even sink a little deeper for those of you wanting more intensity. Sink deeper into your left heel. Slide your right hand further down your right ankle. Sink a little deeper, reach a little further. Sink a little deeper, reach a little further, and slowly spiral back up. Reach both arms wide, straighten both legs. Spread all 10 fingers, even lift your eyebrows. Can you even open your mouth? And then and very gently shake, 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 toe heel, toe heel, toe heel, very slowly, coming out like the Tin Man who needs oil. Yeah, shake. Very good. Anytime you need to lie down, Yvonne, don't. Perfect. Good, 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 good. I'll stop bothering you. All right, second side, warrior two into reverse warrior. So Iyengar didn't ever teach reverse warrior. I'm not sure why. I think it's one of the most beautiful poses. I also love the stretch that you can get on the side rib cage there as you go up. The back part is not, it's fine. It's really, you've already done 90% of it by going up. And if you go a little bit back too, fine. But sometimes that is just over the top. It's quite literally over the top. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's bring the legs to your comfortable distance and unlock your knee. And then go into the soles of your feet. My feet are feeling a little more sticky. Anybody's feet are feeling a little more sticky? Feel your feet, whether they're sticky or not sticky. Squeeze your buttocks, draw your navel in and up, and grow really tall. Now, we'll get very Iyengar about this one. Bring the fingertips together in front of the sternum, elbows wide, shoulder blades down your back. And then slowly, but with alacrity, step wide. That's it, or jump. I love it. So Iyengar used to jump because the jumping is basically stepping simultaneously. It's not supposed to be, right? It's more like And for some people, it's kind of cool, feels good. So, no problem. Then, hands on hips, turn your left toes in, turn your right toes out. I tend to take a few iterations to get my feet into place. So, I'll turn and I'll fidget and I'll wiggle and I'll move. And then I'll settle in. Now, right hand to right inner thigh. And as you bend and straighten your right knee on this side, choose the distance between your feet that allows you to feel very easy and comfortable through your joints, hips, knees, ankles. And then we'll land in a position where your right knee is directly over your ankle. That's a very stable, strong position. And if you need more space between your feet, move your left foot further back or creep your right foot further out to the right. Both are options. Now, hands on hips, stand up really tall. Draw your navel in and up, and now try to squeeze your left buttock. You can even put your left hand on your glute there and see, what if I pull my sticky mat to the left with my left foot, like I'm stretching pizza dough? Does that help me A, straighten my knee, B, engage my glute? Yeah, nice. And then open up your chest, look left. Palms face up, not just your palm, but your whole arm rotates so your inner bicep looks at the ceiling. Then drop your shoulder blades down your back and lift the crown of your head, but not your chin. Nicely done. Sink into your right heel and look right. Open your chest. Now keep your arms where they are, but only turn your hands down, like someone rotated your wrists, just your wrists, to point downward, face down. Looking right. Open up your chest. Sink into your right heel. One more deep breath. Look straight out in front of you, the where your belly button is opening. Yes. And then turn both palms up and reach high. Excellent. Now keep your right arm lifted, but drop your shoulder blades and bend both elbows. Now let your left arm float down. And as you turn your chest a little bit to the right, look up, tuck your tailbone, or look into your right armpit. Now, if you wish, you can straighten your right arm. Let your right shoulder be soft as you sink into your right heel. Go up, up, up. Looking down can be nice for the neck. Looking up at the hand can be nice. Open up that right side of the body. Sink a little deeper into your right knee. Yes, beautiful. Anybody's right leg getting super tired? Exhaling, inhaling. Remember the breath. This is a time for ujjayi. Register your irritation through ujjayi. And then slowly straighten up your right leg. Oh my goodness, bring the arms down. And then slowly toe, heel, toe, heel, toe, heel. Take a break, shake, shake. And we'll go into Prasarita Padottanasana, where we can take your buttocks to the wall if you're so inclined, no pun intended. I love buttocks to the wall, forward fold, because with my two blocks tall, I can press the buttocks into the wall. I can toe heel the feet wide. I can even bend my knees. I can really engage my core, and I can let the upper body lean forward. Now, for some, being at the wall does not really help, doesn't do much for you. You're not a huge fan, so you can come away from the wall. In either case, notice what works for you. Do you want your heels in, toes out? Or do you want heels and toes in one straight line moving out from the wall perpendicularly? Then it's the elbow bend and straighten. For some, it feels good to bend the elbows, lean the upper body forward, and maybe even place the blocks under your forehead, letting your arms gorilla down. Maybe place your blocks at a different height and let your whole torso hang. Or maybe a version I haven't mentioned that speaks to you much more comfortably and well. You can always come away from the wall, widen your legs, and take a classic forward fold or a hybrid between downward dog and forward fold. Yeah, Michael, good. Yes. Nicely done. Yeah. And so the weight of the buttocks on the wall for some is helpful, and also a feeling of gently bringing your belly button in and up. Corky, excellent. Kathleen. So yeah, there you go, Carmen. Sometimes if I'm at the wall, I like my feet to be out enough so that I can fall into the wall behind me. And other times I like to push my feet right up against the wall and slide my buttock bones even higher and thereby elongate those hamstrings even more. Nice, Terry. Yes, exactly. Take a breath or two. Ah, forward fold, Uttanasana or Prasarita Padottanasana variation, wide-legged, forward fold. Maybe you take your hands into the crooks of the elbows, even sway a little bit side to side. If you do choose to do the elbow crook thing, switch it up after a few breaths. Deep full breath in. Remember how we breathed into our low back in child's pose? Can you breathe into your low back in prasarita? And now in slow motion, we sneak our way back up towards vertical. Yeah. And then facing the wall, tuck the chin, forehead to the wall, or not. You don't need to press your head into the wall, but turn both sets of toes, all 10 toes forward, squeeze your glutes, tuck your tailbone to the wall, and see if your chest can reach up the wall and you can lift your hips or your ribs up out of your hips even more. And if you need to bring the elbows down, you can bring your hands right next to the sides of your chest and try to slide your chest like a lizard up the wall, tucking the tailbone strongly to the wall to lengthen your lumbar spine, even grounding your heels, bringing your sternum up, but tucking your tailbone forward. So your tailbone drops down as your chest rises up the wall and your low back flattens away from the wall. So you're like doing a little cat pose away from the wall. Try to bring your belly button away from the wall. Squeeze your buttock muscles. Nice. And then deep breath and slide your hands back down the wall. Beautiful, Carmen. Yes, Kathleen. All right. And out you come. Very good. Now from here, we'll slowly come on down. So the class seemed endless, and now all of a sudden, there's no time. Typical, typical, typical situation. So I'm a huge fan, as you know, of Stonehenge. If you have a stretch or a pose that you're craving, please do take it. I know this is a bit of a really, we're done, but resting is super important. So I'm going to privilege Shavasana here. Again, if you have a pose or a stretch that would serve you, fantastic. Please do not hesitate to take it. If Shavasana feels like a good idea, you've done a lot, and we've done a lot of breathing and slow sort of feeling of sensation. So now it's time to rest. Let your body integrate the movement, let the blood flow, lymphatic flow, syncytial flow, all the different flows in your body help heal you as you breathe and let go of tension. Let's get out of the way of the body and the brain and let them commune. All the narratives and stuff like that are not needed at this period of the class. This is where we withdraw. We go off stage and we let the body and the breath stay on and do their thing. Let them do their dance. Let the breath breathe you. Ah, let your body melt into the mat. And notice gradually or quickly, notice the way that the breath changes. Notice the way that the tension in the body changes. Now you have nothing to do, just to let the body be breathed. Very slowly begin to find your way to a comfortable seat, or perhaps stay right where you are. You need not move. If you do choose to sit, any seated position that feels comfortable and lets your spine gently coil up like a line of smoke. Let the shoulders rest down your back and let your eyes rest in your sockets. Feel your facial muscles soften and also your jaw. I invite you to bring your palms together if you wish, fingerprints match, and the palms themselves are just barely separated. So there's space there, but it's warm. Eyes soft in the sockets and breathing here, cultivating that felt sense of space in the body, in the mind. Same that you're cultivating between your palms. Deep inhale, fill up, and let that go. And one ujjayi exhalation, deep inhale. One more deep inhale, ujjayi exhalation. And a nice regular breath, inhale. Let that go. Thank you very much for coming. So nice to see you. I hope you all have a very good week. I will be away next week. My husband and I are going to Mont Tremblant. We're going to go skiing in the Arctic temperatures northwest of Montreal. Because that's how my husband rolls. We don't go where it's warm in the winter. We go where it's colder. Exactly. All of next week. So Juin Cohen is subbing next week. I'll be back the next week after that. But Juin is here next week. Um, I'm here this Friday. Yeah, yeah. So January, the one time I'm gone is next week, and then I'll be back for a week, and then I go to Tampa to teach YTT teacher training in Tampa for 10 days. So it's going to be a bit of me being away end of January, early February through February. My grandbaby has not been born yet, just saying. So we're still waiting. And due date is Saturday. So he's not late. And mom is pissed, but you know, the second day I'm away, I'll be away starting on the 14th of February. Exactly. The 14th of February I'll be away. Actually, I leave on the evening of the 14th. So really it won't be it's so the 14th, 15th, 17th will be the first day I'm away in February because I teach that morning, the 14th. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Well, yes, that's right. Wonderful. Enjoy being there. You'll get maybe some spring there, right? In February? Ish. Yeah. Okay. Are you going to be up in Catalonia kind of area or? Oh, not that far yet. Okay. Yeah. Lovely. Well, enjoy, Carmen. It'll be lovely to see you when you get back here about it. All right. That part of Spain. Oh, Mont Tremblant. Awesome. Great. We're gonna do some of both. So, and it was nice. Mhm. Awesome. Ooh, love that. Awesome. Okay, great.
Bye, Anne. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank
Have
you,
a great
Savannah.
trip. Well, maybe I'll
Thank
see you
you.
Friday.
Yeah, I'll be here Friday and then yeah, next week I'm away. So yeah, be well until
Yeah.
Friday or subsequent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye
Great,
bye.
great class, Ann. I loved it. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. Have a really good couple days. See you Friday.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
definitely. Bye-bye.
And Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Mwah.
right.
Love you. Bye bye.
Love you.